We've covered the topics of requirements of an effective taxation system and how GST covers all these requirements. GST provides many benefits to the taxpayers, like elimination of complexity of too many taxes, improved compliance, and revenue collection systems. However, there are still some shortcomings in the system. GST is applicable to all taxpayers with an aggregate turnover of 20 lakh and more, except in case of taxpayers based in specific states where this threshold is set at 10 lakh rupees. It means that local dealers who were only covered under the state laws earlier will now have to pay SGST as well as CGST. Another issue is that these small dealers will have to incur additional costs for hiring professionals to deal with the compliance procedures. To overcome these shortcomings, GST law provided for a way out to such small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in the form of composition scheme. Let's discuss composition scheme in detail, as this is a very important concept. Central Goods and Service Tax Act of 2017 introduced it as an option to registered taxpayers having aggregate turnover less than or equal to 75 lakh rupees to register under the composition scheme. Earlier, this threshold limit was set at 50 lakh rupees, but in the 16th GST Council meeting held on Sunday, June 11, 2017, Council decided to raise this threshold limit from 50 lakh to 75 lakh. As we can figure out from this, there are two preconditions or eligibility criteria for registration under the scheme. They are: taxpayer must be registered under the laws. Aggregate turnover of the taxpayer must be less than or equal to 75 lakh rupees. When we say taxpayer must be registered, that means they must have obtained a valid registration under GST and are issued a Goods and Service Tax Identification Number, GSTIN. In order to understand if taxpayer is eligible to avail registration under GST, first we have to understand the concept of aggregate turnover. We'll discuss this in detail in the next lecture. Any person who decides to register under the composition scheme will be taxed at a reduced rate. Tax rates applicable under the scheme are divided into three categories. Traders will be charged at a rate of percent, manufacturers are charged at 2%, and restaurants are charged at 5%. Here, restaurants serving alcohol won't be covered under the scheme. One thing which is to be kept in mind is that other than restaurants, all other services are excluded from the ambit of the composition scheme.